it's happening in New York, New Jersey, or Long Island, hear about it with Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.
Hey, it's Piscopo in the morning. It's Tuesday. I don't know. We're wrangling in the morning, and somehow we're making it work. I hope we're making it work. I hope you're still with us. It's crazy. You know, I'm a big fan of Dr. Carole Lieberman. I see her online. I love medical doctors who speak common sense, and she's a medical doctor, forensic psychiatrist, author of the book, this great book that I have in my office, Lions, Tigers, and Terrorists. How you talk to your kids about terror. You know, the only book explaining terrorism to kids. Carole, welcome live in the studio. How are you?
It's great to see you, to be here live rather than on the phone.
I follow, Dr. Rock. Dr. Rock's a buddy.
Yeah.
Dr. Rock Positano. That's how we know each other. Everybody
right.
knows that. All roads lead to Dr. Rock Positano. Am I right? Is he wild? Where did you, first of all, tell me about your medical career. You started in the city?
I am a born and bred New Yorker. And I did my psychiatry training at Bellevue, NYU Bellevue, the best place in the world to train as a psychiatrist.
Wow. Tell us about forensic psychiatry. That sounds wild.
Well, basically, I'm an expert witness for criminal and civil cases, from everything from dog bites to murder.
Yeah, and then all those weird crimes. I don't even want to get into it because we keep it appropriate on the show, but you must see some stuff.
Yes, it's
very
interesting.
How twisted does the human mind get, Carole Lieberman? I mean, really?
Well, you know, one of the first high-profile cases that I did was the Jenny Jones case. Do you remember that back in 95, 96?
Oh, God, yeah.
And so, you know, that was one of the interesting cases that really, a classic case of what reality TV can do.
And how much of a line, there's got to be a thin line between us living our regular, normal life and then just losing it and really going on. And I see, but I can't understand how you and how I always speak in, I have such stellar admiration for law enforcement. I always say, because what they see, you see the same thing when you go to a crime scene. How does somebody just lose it like that? Are you born like that?
Well, you know, the truth is that today, with the world as crazy as it is, more and more people are crossing that line. You know, you just have to pick up the Post or the Daily News.
Yeah.
And you see stories that you would have only seen in some kind of a thriller, a movie years ago.
It's so true. So Harvey Weinstein, I can't even imagine. Just to keep it kind of light is like, if you're a guy, I don't know how guys are forceful or how they are aggressive or how they are in a situation. This guy felt like he owned the women that he was with. I mean, I'm right. Give us the psychological breakdown of this Weinstein character allegedly taking advantage of all these women.
Right, allegedly. Well, you know, actually, it comes from a deep inferiority complex.
Oh, interesting.
And even though he had tons of money and he had tons of power in Hollywood, the entertainment industry and all of that, he really didn't feel that women would want to be with him unless they were forced to, unless he had some control over them, like their career. And, you know, on the one hand, he convinced himself on one level that, yes, they love him and they want to do this. It was consensual. You know, he'll tell you what was consensual, right?
Right.
But really, you know, none of the women, I mean, that is very unlikely. And none of the women who have come forward, of course, have said that. And, you know, he is kind of a toad, if I can be honest here. So how consensual can it be?
And then yet he used his power. So now what about the criticisms? Like, these girls could have kicked and screamed. And I mean, I'm just saying what you hear. They could have ran away. But as a father of 3 daughters, I'm very sensitive to any potential pig that's out there. And Lord knows there's enough of them.
Well, it is really hard. First of all, in some cases, it would seem, according to their stories, that he actually used brute force. I mean, he was a strong man. And in other cases, he used psychological force. He manipulated them. And it was very scary, especially a lot of these girls were young. They did it early in their career, and they didn't know what hit them.
Yeah. So, but as a woman and being as successful as you are, this Me Too movement, does it hold credibility in your eyes?
Oh, you're asking me a tough question because I know you would expect me to say, oh, yes, you know, this is cool. Let's go Me Too. I mean, and yes, certainly there are a lot of women like the Harvey Weinstein victims, for example, who were very hurt by all of these instances. But again, allegedly. But as an expert witness, a forensic psychiatrist, I have been on both sides.
Mm.
And men, there are some women who claim sexual harassment, who really are doing this for other reasons, like either money or their 15 minutes. Or a lot of times, like when it's not a famous person, a lot of times it's women in a company who are having a consensual affair with their boss, let's say, and then they think the boss is going to leave their wife, and then the boss doesn't leave their wife, and then all of a sudden, it becomes sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And it's a woman scorned, in other words.
Yeah, and to this, if you see Oprah, I have immense respect for Oprah, and certainly Meryl Streep. I mean, politics aside, they were like hook, line, and sinker with Harvey Weinstein. They were with this guy, kissing this guy, posing with this guy. Then all of a sudden, now let's meet the Me Too movement. Excuse me. I mean, how could they go work both sides of the coin and get away with it?
I don't know. It's a very confusing...
Because they're Oprah and Meryl, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a very confusing time for men and women. The roles have been totally confused and blurred, and Doc, it's tough for both.
How do you, as a guy, you're absolutely right. If I say something now, I'm a single guy. If I say something now, I have to couch it with, is it inappropriate if I say you look good? I can't say that. I don't say that. The girl just walked down, one of our gals that I love, just walked down the hallway. I said, hi, doll. I said, doll. Is this, are we going crazy here?
Yes, I'm not really for having to be that.
Politically correct.
Yeah. I mean, the whole political correctness is destroying our country altogether.
Thank you.
Whether it's in regard to women or in regard to politics, whatever it is, we are being destroyed by that.
Yeah, it's so true. So I just want to make sure we plug the book, because I saw this book. It's great. It is great.
Thank you. I saw it in your office. Yes. You actually have it on your desk.
Because my kids come through, and I have so many, they're coming through it all the time. It's just like, but I'm holding it up now. The name of the book is Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, So My, How to Protect Your Child in Time of Terror. So we're watching TV yesterday, Charlie and I, 7 years old, and we see things happening, and there was something happening in London, something happening in international. There's always some kind of, God forbid, terror incident. Why, Daddy? What, Daddy? I mean, how do you explain it? How do you tell them? Do you make it ideological? Do you just say there's bad people? I mean, how do you explain to your kid about terrorism?
Well, I call the talk about terrorism the birds and the bees talk for the 21st century. Yeah. Parents are uncomfortable talking about it. Teachers are really uncomfortable. And they're hoping that this is just going to go away, that somehow, terrorists are going to go away. And that is not going to happen. So we do have to find a way to talk to kids about it. I give in the book some examples of how to answer the most frequently asked questions. And, depending upon the age and the psychological maturity of your child, you would give more or less of a description. On the basic level, you can talk about how terrorists are like bullies in the playground.
There it is. Yeah.
And also you can talk about, if it's a suicide bomb or if it's an explosion of some sort, you can talk about how they're having a temper tantrum. That's, the explosion of the bomb is like when a child has a temper tantrum. And just like children don't get their way after they have a temper tantrum, the terrorists won't get their way just because they're trying to destroy us, get us to follow their laws and so on. It is very tricky, in Halloween, when there was the terrible ramming attack near Ground Zero here. Yeah. There was a principal who was being interviewed on television, and she was asked, what are you going to be doing for the kids in the next couple of days? And she said, well, I'm going to have my teachers watch the kids and, carefully and so on, but I'm not going to use the word terrorism. Hello. I mean, what are you going to call it? A guy was drunk and he ran into these people. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. When adults don't explain things to the kids, again, in their language, up to their ability, then it tells the children, don't ask me these questions. We're not supposed to talk about this. And that makes them even more scared, and it makes them push their feelings down. And then that really can develop into real problems later on.
And to your point, Dr. Carole Lieberman with us, I'm showing on camera and reading the book, Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, So My, How to Protect Your Children in Time of Terror, because I'm looking at a picture of the World Trade Center a block from here. Now you have your kids and they're watching that. And you want to say, who did that, Dad? that. And then you're going to say Islamic radicals, Islamic fundamentalists. Now, right there, it's going to make people have prejudice against that certain people. So I see you say it's okay to explain to children that some terrorists are called radical Islamists or radical Muslims. This means they are not like most Muslims who are peaceful. That's not too complicated to explain to a kid, indeed, that.
Well, again, depending upon the age, this book is for kids 5 to 14 because once kids get to school, they hear from other kids about all of this.
Yeah, but once they get to school, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Carol. When they get to school, it's all politically correct. You can't say that. You can't say that about anybody. Don't even use Islamist because then that's prejudice.
Oh, yes. I give names, Daesh, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. I mention all these because the kids see and hear these things
they know
on the radio and on television. If I told them that terrorists were blondes in bikinis, that would be the end of their listening. They see on television, it's not blondes in bikinis. Yeah. So, but I do. In the whole book, in fact, I've been accused of being
Did you use the analogy blondes and bikinis because you're talking to me? Apparently. sorry. No, sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta lighten it up a little bit. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that
when you go into it, you can be specific when you talk to the kids. And I'm talking to my 7-year-old, and God forbid there's yet another terror attack like Frankie Fibro always goes. There's a mass shooting. How do you explain a man? And we'll let you go, Carol. I could talk to you for hours.
Well, I just want to say on that point though about radical Islamists. I have been accused by some people of being too far the other way. Like I have a picture of a little girl saying, I'm a Muslim and I'm not a terrorist. I talk about how a terrorist, you shouldn't judge what a person looks like as to whether they're a terrorist. It's what's in their heart. So it is more than balanced, But yes, do I use the words radical Islamist? Absolutely. You want to see the most controversial? That's the most controversial picture in the book. But it is true.
It's got a picture of an Arab-looking person and a Muslim-looking person with a gun in the desert. But you explain to them that some terrorists are called radical Islamists, but they're not all like that. And mass shootings, you just like a bully. I mean, what do you say? Some people are just crazy. What do you say to kids? We got to go, but briefly, what do you say to kids with these mass murders in schools, Carol?
Well, there's some similarities, of course. Both regular terrorists and school shooters do cause terror, and also it has the main thing is it has to do with struggles inside themselves. I talk about that, how terrorists really have a problem with themselves, and that's why they express their anger to other people. And so with the mass shooters, the school shooters, it starts the same thing. It's problems within themselves. So for the terrorists, they misinterpret the Quran because of these problems in themselves, and they're looking for a reason to fight.
Yeah, great stuff, Carol. Where can we find you online?
Well, the Terrorist Therapist. I am the Terrorist Therapist. So terroristtherapist.com. And this all started because I'm a born and bred New Yorker. 9/11 was very personal to me. And since then, I have been helping people keep calm and carry on. And I will be at the Book Expo. That's why I'm in town right now, to have a booth and exhibit at the Book Expo America and the Book Con, both of which are at the Javits Center.
Oh, this is great. Carol, thanks for coming in person. Great to see you at Dr. Rock. I know sends love. I know the name of the book is Lions and Tigers and Terrorists. So Dr. Carole Lieberman. Thank you, Carol.
Everybody knows this guy. No, everybody knows he can do a radio show. Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.